Hey everybody, my name is Florian. I'm super excited to do this tutorial today. I discovered a very interesting technique lately after watching this stuff, which is the GeoBoil setup, which was originally done by Simon Fiedler, really nice dude from Germany. He did it in Houdini. It's kind of growing particles on a surface, so it gives you this nice bubbly thing, boiling effect. And then the guys from InLife Thrill Design did a quite similar thing. Actually, they did the same thing, but within Cinema 4D with thinking particles and the collision deformer, which was also quite good. And then Mike Batchelor did one with X particles. Yeah, they all are basically kind of the same thing. They're growing particles on a surface, and they're growing and they're popping back in again. So they're just scaling up to a certain value and then they disappear. And I thought, how can you make this more let's not say realistic, how can you make this more interesting? And I came up with a technique which is look like this. So your bubbles are growing, you can control where they're spawning more or less, and they rip or tear and yeah, stuff flies away. And but this is not what I'm going to show you today, because I'm still working on this setup and it's still not 100% refined. So I will do a tutorial on this in the next time, but not now. But this is upcoming for sure. Right now I'm going to show you how to do this kind of grow stuff onto geometry and yeah, make it disappear again. It's kind of similar to InLife Thrill Design's version, but it doesn't use a collision deformer, which is good because the collision deformer is really slow, in my opinion. And I found a faster way to achieve the same effect or similar effect, and it's a bit different, but I'll explain it to you now. So my version is not based on a collision deformer, but on a Spherify effector. So, or as you will see later on loads of Spherify effectors. And so a Spherify effector basically, oops, go up, man, go up. Oh, this should be sphere. Spherify effector basically, how should I put this? It spherifies your geometry. So it's good to have your size, your fall-off size. If it's set to sphere, you have your fall-off size and your radius be the same value. So we'll get a proper spherical thing here going on. And you can also play with the fall-off percentage here. I found 100 gives you the most smooth result, although it's kind of the weakest. It has the weakest effect on the overall geometry, but it's the most smooth one. So I recommend using 100% in the fall-off here, and this radius and this radius, this size here should be the same, so it looks kind of spherical and bubbly and boily and this kind of stuff. So we're gonna take a guy here. It's called Male Bust Guy. So he's quite small, so let's zoom in to him. Male Bust Guy will be our piece of how do you say this? Male Bust Guy will be our subject for this experiment. We'll boil this fucker up. So Male Bust Guy is really low res, low poly. So we're gonna put him into a sub D surface and press C to make it editable. So now low res Bust Guy is high res Bust Guy, and we'll call him Mike, and we'll duplicate him and call him proxy Mike. And I'll turn mic off for a second. And why we need the reason why we need proxy mic is we want to, on proxy mic, we want to define where our boiling bubbles are actually gonna grow. So we're gonna select an area, so preferably his face, because I like boiling faces. Just select the desired area out here, and maybe a bit here on top as well. And I will invert the selection and delete it, and UO to optimize the mesh. And so this is proxy mic now. He's still alright, just a bit cut off. So we will make proxy mic invisible and turn mic on. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put clones. We're gonna put clones of nulls onto proxy mic, which will then drive our Spherify effectors that are placed inside the mic. So let's make a MoGraph cloner and a null, and put it in there, and make our null to a circle, and make the circle let's say 3 centimeters in size. And our cloner will clone onto where are you? Onto proxy mic. So now we got loads of nulls here, loads of clones, because it's cloning onto every vertex point. But we want to only clone. We want to clone on surface, so it's like a random spread across the surface. We have a random seed value here, and we want 100 nulls, because we're going to put 100 Spherify effectors under this mic guy. So I think the null is still a bit too big, so let's make it maybe 1 centimeter. So now this is where our actual Spherify effectors will grow at. This seems to be all right. We can change the seed a little bit, but actually I want to have one right on the tip of his nose, because that's gonna look quite funny. All right, so now we got 100 nulls, and we're gonna make those guys invisible for now. We don't need them. We don't need to see them. And let's create a null, call it control, and put a Xpresso tag on it. And oh yeah, first we should actually make some Spherify effectors. So let's make 1, let's make 2, let's make 3, 4, 5, and let's make 10, and let's make 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 elements. Perfect. Okay, so now we get 100 Spherify effectors. They're doing random shit here. We don't really care about this. Let's select them for a second and make the radius maybe 2 centimeters and the strength to 100%, and fall off to spherical, and also 2, 2, 2. All right, so maybe let's take 1 and see how it looks on the surface. Yeah, this is kind of all right. So this will be our biggest actual boil. Our biggest boil will have this this size here. We're gonna have a variation between like 0 size and this size. So our biggest boil, or biggest bubble blister thingy will have this this size. So that's all right. I think it's still a bit low res actually. I think it's all right. Okay, so inside mic, we don't see it here, somewhere hidden inside. So there's like 100 of those guys at one spot. Now what we want to do now, we want to distribute those 100 Spherify effectors onto the exact positions where those nulls are. We know we have 100 nulls because we set the count to 100 and we have 100 Spherify effectors. So we can just use Xpresso to put it in place. We need our cloner, and we need a data node, this guy, and we put the cloner's object output into the data's object input, and we want to iterate from 0 to 99 because we have 100 clones. We want to iterate through those guys, put this into the index input here, clean up a little bit, And so what this data node is outputting, for every single clone, we can output a local matrix, global matrix, and position stuff, and also a weight, which we will need later on. So we will create an output for the global matrix for now, and then what we want to do is we want to have a linked list, and this linked list, we lock it for a second and put all our Spherify effectors in there. Now we have this linked list filled with all our 100 Spherify effectors, and we can access each individually by connecting the iteration also to this index, and then we will need to drag one of the Spherifys, which just acts as a kind of proxy object. We'll connect this to the link, and now we can set the global matrix. Here it is. Connect the global matrix to this global matrix, and now we have a perfect match between our nulls and our Spherify effectors. The thing is, the Spherify shouldn't be exactly on the surface of the mesh, so we need to put it back a little bit in Z. So that's all right. You see, it's getting a funny nose here. I like that. Okay, so that's good. That's really nice. Now we want to have a little bit of variation, because right now all of our Spherifys are 2 centimeters in radius, and yeah, there's just not much variation going on. So how can we achieve this? We can use the weight information on our nulls to drive the scaling of the Spherifys. So let's just put a random effector onto our cloner, and this random effector should do nothing position-wise, just weight transform our clones. So all our clones now have a weight value between plus 100 and minus 100, or plus 1 and minus 1. And we're going to use this information to we're going to multiply it with our actually we're just gonna multiply it with our scale for now, with our radius for now. No, for now we're not gonna multiply it. Just to show it off, I can just link it to our radius. All right, that's how we do it. So these guys now have radiuses. Yeah, that's it. Because our weighting goes from minus 100 to plus 100, we get like values lower than 0, which leads to many of these Spherifys will have a radius of 0. So we need to make an absolute value, absolute, drag it in there. Oh. Which will just turn negative numbers into positive numbers, and now we have only values from 0 to 1. So our radius on the Spherifys will be random values between 0 and 1 centimeter. Okay, that's all right. What we also want to do, we want our fall off scale to be affected by the weight. So we're just gonna plug this in here as well. This looks kind of strange now, so maybe we have to move back with our Z, because we're shifting the nulls 1 centimeter in Z space, and our maximum radius is 1 centimeter, so we're probably not gonna actually like do anything with our Spherifys. So let's make it 0.5, for example. All right, and make our nulls invisible again. Okay, this is looking good for now. And we can now, let's say, we can range map this value here. So we're not limited to just having values between 0 and 1. We can have values the way we want to have, we want them to be. So let's just put a range mapper in between here. And so this will now turn our values from 0 to 1 to, let's say we want the smallest blister bubble thingy be 0.5 centimeters and the largest one 2 centimeters. Oh, that's too big. 1.2 maybe. It's better. So now we got a little bit of variation in our bubbles here. Mesh looks kind of distorted here because there's so many blisters intersecting, but that shouldn't worry us for now. That's all right. So if we want to animate those guys, we could either go through all of these guys and set the strength like manually from 0 to 100, but that's not what we want to do. We will make a plane effector, and this plane effector will more or less control our the strength of our Spherify. So this guy gets a spherical fall off as well. Let's make it a bit smaller, maybe 30, 30, 30. And we want to be every Spherify that's within the fall off radius to be 100% in strength, and every fall off that's every Spherify that is out of the fall off range should be 0. So we will just drag our plane effector in here, and I'll make this window a bit bigger now. And we need a how's it called? A sample node. Drag this guy here, and connect our plane effector to our sample effector input, and we want to sample the global matrix of the clones. So this is what we're doing here, and we want to output the strength. So what this does is outputting a value between 0 and 1 depending on if the null is within or without the range of the plane effector's fall off. So what we can do now is we can take a math node and just drag it in there, and multiply it with our range mapped value here. So now we're connecting the our multiply into our scale and our radius, and as you should be able to see now, if we move our plane effector through this guy, our Spherifys are growing, our bubbles are growing, and growing back in again. So that's all right. And we can of course change the seed on our cloner here, so the bubbles are not intersecting so much and we get a nicer result. Maybe this one's looking good. And what you can then do to kind of smooth out our mesh so it's not we're not getting those strange intersections here, we can add a smoothing deformer, and be sure that the smoothing is after all our Spherifys, because it has to be calculated after our Spherifys are being calculated. And this is smoothing out way too much, so we can go to a value, let's say 90%. That's smoothing that out a bit, maybe a bit more even. And then after the smoothing, we will put in a, not yet. Let's close this for a second, and let's animate our plane effector from, let's say here to here. And make it invisible. We don't really need to see it. So now our bubbles are growing on and they're growing back again. And after our smoothing effector, we will put a jiggle deformer, sorry, not effector. And let's have a look at this. That's interesting. Now our mesh is getting this nice secondary motion, and we can play with the settings on our jiggle here to get to the desired result. yeah, this is looking pretty cool. You can play with the jiggle effector and make it to your liking, but this is the general technique, and now you know how to affect hundreds of is it effectors or modifiers? Bend modifier, yeah, hundreds of modifiers without having to keyframe them manually, but with the help of a little bit of Xpresso. And yeah, I hope this helped you, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and hope you have a nice day, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.